Let's begin tonight with the Clinton campaign and stunning reports that say one of her top State Department lieutenants tried to make a deal with the FBI in the middle of its investigation into her email scandal. Now, that lieutenant is Patrick Kennedy, and if his name sounds familiar, it should. This guy was neck deep in the Benghazi controversy, and his fingerprints were all over her email scandal from the very start. The details on Kennedy's attempt to reach a deal comes directly from the FBI's own files. Now, keep in mind, this guy was working for you. He was supposed to be working for you at the State Department in dealing with the FBI that was investigating Clinton in the email. The FBI's own files, and this was the lead issue that was discussed in an exclusive interview that Fox's Carl Cameron just landed with Donald Trump, where he asked him about an FBI note that certainly makes it sound like Patrick Kennedy cared more about protecting Hillary Clinton than protecting you. Watch.
Well, it's illegal. I mean, what's taking place is illegal between Justice Department and the FBI and Secretary of State and the State Department. I think it's crazy what's going on. It's totally illegal. It's a criminal act. It's a crime. And I hear the Republicans are going to hold hearings after the election. Why would you hold them after the election? You want to hold those hearings before the election. But this is a criminal act, and it's incredible that they can do this and get away with it.
In moments, Judge Andrew Napolitano will tell us if Donald Trump is right, whether a crime has been committed here. But we begin tonight with our chief intelligence correspondent, Catherine Herridge, who's going to set this up for you so we all understand it. Catherine?
Well, thank you, Megan. These FBI records released today state in black and white that one of Secretary Clinton's most trusted lieutenants, Patrick Kennedy, wanted a backroom deal with the FBI over the classification of Clinton's emails. A leading Republican says tonight it's evidence of a broad conspiracy.
I think it's corruption. I think it's manipulation. I think it's against the law, and it certainly goes to the intent. Somebody should have been prosecuted for this.
According to the FBI interviews known as 302s, Kennedy wanted to do a swap. The FBI would downgrade a highly sensitive Clinton email to unclassified, and in return the Bureau would get coveted slots for agents overseas. An FBI agent's name was cut from the records posted online today that read in part, quote, "Redacted believes state has an agenda, which involves minimizing the classified nature of the Clinton emails in order to protect state interests and those of Clinton." The FBI agent specifically uses the term quid pro quo. This is no small thing.
I understand that.
Senior executive
I understand
accused
that.
of trying to
I understand that, which is why I
agent.
came out here and said there's no quid pro quo. Absolutely not.
Happened. Both the FBI and State Department emphasized to reporters today the email's classification was never changed, and the FBI never got additional slots for its agents overseas. But legal experts say even the discussion of a backroom deal potentially violates federal law. Megan.
Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joining us now, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Well, this stinks to high heaven, and we don't have to look far to figure out whether at least the person on the receiving end of the proposed deal thought it was a quid pro quo, because it's in the FBI agent's notes.
Right, right. So an FBI agent who was in charge of handling documents that had been accumulated in the Clinton investigation was approached by Patrick Kennedy. Mrs. Clinton is not the Secretary of State at this point. Patrick Kennedy's working for Secretary Kerry, and he makes the offer that Catherine Herridge just described for us. Can you change the marking on this document? Now,
he was working for us.
Correct.
When he's doing that. He doesn't answer to Hillary Clinton anymore.
Correct.
He's supposed to be looking out for us.
Markings on documents are changed all the time. They're changed so that people at a lower level of security clearance can read documents that they otherwise wouldn't be able to read because they need to see what's in there. But they are never, ever, ever lawfully changed after they've been subpoenaed and when they've been accumulated as evidence in a criminal investigation. And it was under that circumstance that Patrick Kennedy asked this FBI agent, whose name we haven't been given, but who obviously reported it to his bosses, to make those changes, which, of course, he refused to make.
And let's say Patrick Kennedy, who is, again, he is neck deep in Benghazi. I mean, the blame there was plenty to go around when it came to how that hit was handled, the absence of security, despite the begging of Ambassador Chris Stevens and others. But Patrick Kennedy was right in the mix of it and was not blameless. So he pops up again. And it'd be one thing if he saw a document, Judge, that he said, this is legitimately problematic, and we shouldn't be producing this, and so it needs to go into a basement and never to be seen again. But if that were true, he wouldn't have to be offering the FBI all these carrots to get them to agree to his little proposal.
The offering of the carrot, as you put it, even though it was not accepted by the FBI, is an attempt to commit bribery. The FBI didn't see it that way. They didn't charge him with anything, either because they felt they couldn't prove the case, or maybe the FBI was in the tank for Mrs. Clinton and all of her people from day one of these investigations.
That's not easy to believe.
It's very, very difficult to believe. I agree with you. But the evidence is there in the FBI document, which came out over the weekend. He offered me something of value, not to me personally, but to the FBI, if we would alter evidence. So that's an effort to bribe, to deface evidence, to obstruct justice. Was anybody charged with any of those crimes? No.
And the advantage to him in having the FBI classify this document from what it was to something else was that it would get buried, that the FBI wouldn't have to have it, it wouldn't have to get produced publicly, no one would ever have to see it.
Correct. And his former boss and still dear friend, Secretary Clinton, could not be blamed for exposing a national security secret, which, of course, she's done hundreds of times.
Judge, good to see you.
Likewise.